Hi there, it's Ash Barker. You're with Ash on the Way. I'm about an hour and a half away from León now, so I'm coming to the end of the Meseta, and I thought I'd just make a few reflections as I'm on my way. One of the highlights of the Meseta for me was one night in a Dimitivo, just like a voluntary run albergue. We'd made our dinner together, we'd eaten together, and then we had a little reflection in the chapel. And the singing was terrible, it was in Latin, and the guys were all doing their best. But then they lit a candle and they passed the candle around, and when the candle came to you, you could be silent, you could be still, or you could share what the Camino means to you. And so many of us cried that night, and for me it was just this sense of flood of gratitude that in my life so many people have given me opportunity. And honestly, even the worst stuff that's happened to me over the years, somehow God redeems, and because of some of the bad stuff, some of the best stuff emerges. And certainly that's true in my leadership and ministry and the way I go about things. So that moment, I think, in the albergue together, holding that candle, feeling the tears coming out of my eyes the flood of gratitude that kind of came out of me was my highlight. I think one of the lowlights for me was just the monotony of it and how your mind just kind of can go all over the place. And sometimes my mind gets fixated on things and work and structures and priorities and things that are important for seedbeds. All those things keep kind of flooding back in the monotony. And I noticed in my notebook there's a whole lot of the same things I've written down each time. And it's good to pay attention to the monkey mind and give those things to God. But I think the Meseta, just because it's so long and straight and there's often not much happening, you just have to cope with your own mind. And is the washing machine for the brain, is what they often call this. And the Meseta is definitely on spin cycle. I think the biggest surprise of the Meseta was probably the eclipse. I hadn't even clocked that a full eclipse would be happening, but we just happened to be in the most beautiful kind of area. We got an amazing high spot so that we could see the whole thing. And we'd been traveling with quite a few different pilgrims at that point, and it was lovely to kind of have that moment together. It wasn't quite the end of the world, and it wasn't quite a reset that maybe some people were hoping for, but it was certainly a miracle kind of event to be there, mystical event probably, and you really sensed it in the air and the animals, in the crowd, and certainly amongst our fellow pilgrims. So that was probably the biggest surprise of the Meseta. Two of the books that I've been mulling over since I've been walking these long, stretching, dusty ways on the Camino are Eugene Peterson's The Contemplative Pastor. It's one of a really formative early book, and I thought I'd read that again. And the other was Jim Collins's new book, What to Make of a Life. And both those books have had a profound impact on my walking and my mulling over. Eugene Peterson talked about being the unhurried pastor, the pastor who gives the best time to praying for their local community, listening to their local community, and then preaching life into the context of their local community. And I do feel like I come alive when I do that. When I'm in Winson Green and praying each morning and listening each afternoon and preaching most Sundays on the lectionary and trying to make those connections. And I really do feel like that's I'm partly my element when I get to do that each week. So I'm really grateful for Eugene Peterson, probably best known for the Message Bible. He's a Presbyterian minister, he's passed away now, but one of his classic books was The Contemplative Pastor, and that's been a good companion on this journey for me. Jim Collins' book has also made a big impact. I've written previously in some of my posts about that. But one idea is this whole extending out and then circling back to what gives you life. And that way the frame keeps changing and we find our gifts and talents that we may not see in one frame, we may see in another. And certainly the play between being planted in Winson Green and being that local pastor, helping start a new congregation, and that rhythm is that kind of circling back that helps me extend out. And whether it be in Burma or Ukraine or Australia, whether it be pioneering or change makers, the commons, the books, all those kind of things make sense because I'm planted where I am, and that gives me the momentum to go out again. And so I really appreciate Jim Collins' book, particularly those of us in the second half of our life looking back, what's given us life. How do we keep coming back to that, but how do we keep extending out and trying and growing as people and as leaders? Well, friends, I made it to León. It was over 300 kilometres from Logroño. I don't know if you can see outside my window here, but I'm just in León now. Over 200 kilometres was on the Meseta, and I started with real intentions and really wanting to see what God could do in this next season of my life. And in this session, I just want to touch base. I've got 100 kilometres more to go, and I just want to share my joys, my highs, my lows, what's helped, what's hindered my journey so far, so that it'll help your walk wherever you are. I'm Ash Barker. This is Ash on the Way. What were some of the things that helped? Well, certainly a good routine has helped. I wake up 5 a.m, I get out of the door by 6 a.m, I walk most of the morning, get to my destination generally by 1 p.m, something like that, find my accommodation, have a shower, wash my clothes, have something to eat, and then have a siesta. I then generally kind of have some reflection, reading time, and then it's time for dinner, and I'm generally in bed by 9 p.m. Having a routine has really helped in all kinds of ways, just to know what my day is going to look like. Also, just having some places where things are helps, in my pack, in my bag, in my pockets. I lose a lot of things generally, and the only thing I've lost so far has been the walking pulse. And so I'm grateful if I have a routine, grateful for having regular places where I store things. One of the things that helped me along the way was some music. I generally not listen to music or have headphones in, so I could really appreciate the walk for at least 3 or 4, even 5 hours, sometimes not at all. But that last hour or so, I'd often put the headphones in. The Meseta was perfect for the U2 Joshua Tree album. And I listened to that fully. I thought that was beautiful. And I must admit, to need that little bit of extra buzz, that extra beat to get me going, a bit of Aussie pub rock helped me. I listened to Paul Kelly a lot, as well as Cold Chisel, Midnight Oil, those kinds of bands that were kind of formative in my growing up. And so a bit of music helps along the way. There were some real Camino helps and resources that I just wanted to let you know that have really worked for me on this trip. The Wise Pilgrim app has been terrific. It helps direct where I am. I can book accommodation, or at least know where accommodation is if I can't book an albergue. It's been a really brilliant tool. I know how far I've got to go before I reach. That adds peace of mind. Dan Mullen's My Camino podcast has been full of inspiration and joy, and all kinds of resources have kind of come from Dan's recommendations. Not least B. Barem's Camino de Santiago, sacred sites, historical villages, local wine and food. It's really an anthropologist's view of the Camino Frances, and I've found it really helpful having the different layers of history involved in the Camino. That's been brilliant. I love Stacey Wittig's A Spiritual Guide to the Camino Frances. She's like a spiritual director, pointing out the sites and the connections and the scriptures that connect. That's been a brilliant resource. And of course, John Briley. Who can forget John Briley, the late, great John Briley? And what I love about his guide is there's a mystical path, there's a practical path, and particularly his maps I find really helpful to orientate myself in the morning and work out where I'm going. So there's some resources that I'd certainly use again. I just thought I'd touch base with my intentions. When I began this summer Camino, I had a few prayers in mind, created me a clean heart, God, as a kind of mantra. And certainly my mind needed a mantra because my mind was going all over the place, particularly on the Meseta, having that to come back to. That said, my mind did go to all kinds of funny songs. That Eastern Rosella song was one of the ones that kept going around. And Renewal Spirit in Me has been, in the second half of this trip, been a really important prayer. One of my hopes was that this pilgrimage would be like a washing machine for my mind, and it really has. It felt like it's been on spin cycle since I've been here. I've certainly been nurturing gratefulness, and actually one of the great joys is to be able to intentionally lay rocks on way markers and crucifixes for individual people. I'm incredibly grateful for. A flood of gratitude just flowed on this trip. I certainly feel like I've been preparing for this next season of life. The books I've been reading, Insane for the Light is the one I'm just getting into now. But all this is preparing me for, this last decade or more, who knows. And I certainly feel really convinced that Winson Green is the place to be based and planted in. It's where I get a lot of joy. It's where I come back to. But then keep expanding and growing seedbeds in different kind of innovative ways. And I've been surprised how much the seedbeds venture has filled my minds and hearts since I've been here. I certainly feel like the new book, I'm still waiting for a couple of permissions before we can press the button for that, but that feels really good. And pilgrimage in general, I just feel like this YouTube channel, the pilgrims I've met, it's been, those intentions have really helped. So I pay attention to when these things are going on. So, the intentions certainly have helped. So it's been great here in León. I've been able to go to the cathedral. It's beautiful, it's magnificent. This town is really buzzing even though it's a Sunday. I've got 4 more walking days to go. Cruz de Ferro is on the last day for me, last walking day. And so I'll be dropping stones of burdens, things that I've been carrying. And I'm really looking forward to these last few days. I feel like in lots of ways I could go home today very happy. And so it's amazing that I've still got a few more days to go of walking, and then the trip back to Madrid and Birmingham. So I'm not sure how this video has helped you. It's certainly been good for me. Are there practices that you use? Are there experiences that have helped? Are there resources that have been meaningful for you? I wonder if you could share them in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed or liked, please do that for this video, and we'll help connect each other up together. Bon Camino, friends.